Hello and welcome to Imaginary Game News. My name is Caxt and I will be your host. This month, members of the gaming community traveled from all over the world to Boston for PAX East and San Francisco for GDC, and my tiny little nipples went to France. For our first story, the Strong Museum has unveiled this year's nominees for its annual Video Game Hall of Fame. The nominees include Asteroids from Atari in 1979, Guitar Hero from Harmonix in 2005, Neopets from Adam and Donna Powell in 1999, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater from Neversoft, also in 1999, and everyone's beloved franchise starter, Tokimeki Memorial from Konami in 1994. If you didn't know, and let's be honest, you didn't, this is the first time you're hearing about this game, Tokimeki Memorial is the Japan-only franchise that popularized dating sims. Apparently, grown men wanting to date high school girls is only acceptable in the US when you hide it under a veil of creature battling. Keoken Interactive, the developer behind Deliver Us the Moon and Deliver Us Mars, is pulling out all the stops by shotgunning 5 different prototypes to every publisher in the solar system. This comes after laying off 45 of its employees earlier this month, dropping their total to 20. You know things are getting desperate when they've even resorted to making Fortnite maps just to stay in business. Yikes. The future is now, and global service provider Keywords, which worked on such projects as Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, conducted an experiment in 2023 to build a 2D game entirely based on generative AI. The experiment failed, however, and they concluded that generative AI is not a sufficient replacement for talent. Check back again with us next year when the 2024 Gen AI experiment will reveal that talent is outdated and ChatGPT is definitely better than most people at making video games. Game development veterans from Activision, Naughty Dog, and id Software team up to form a new AAA studio called Emptyvessel. They claim that they're confident it will be possible to create AAA quality games with smaller, focused teams. I'm not sure why they would want to come out and insult their own company like this with their opening statement. The last thing we need is more AAA quality games. I suppose the name Emptyvessel is an apt one, though, as the emptiest vessel of them all is the soulless husk of large game development corporations. Stardew Valley released their 1.6 update to fix your marriage. Apparently, there was a glitch that caused spouses to quickly spiral into a depression after marriage. To solve this, spouses now have a 7-day honeymoon period after marriage that will prevent them from laying in bed all day due to being upset. Interestingly, the honeymoon period only applies to female characters, while the male characters are given a ball and chain debuff that prevents them from going outside after 5 p.m. and hanging out with their friends at the Stardrop Saloon. CBS Studios is producing an animated show of Among Us with a star-studded cast. Voice actors include Randall Park from Fresh Off the Boat, Jack Black from Kung Fu Panda, Yvette Nicole Brown from Community, Jack Black from Super Mario Bros., Elijah Wood from Lord of the Rings, Jack Black from the Borderlands movie, Ashley Johnson from The Last of Us, and Jack Black from Disney's Star Wars Mandalorian Season 3. Unfortunately, the show is largely expected to flop because they didn't get Chris Pratt or Jack Black from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Big shakeup in gaming journalism as GO Media, the owner of well-known and unpopular media outlet Kotaku, has decided to prioritize gaming guides over news stories. Jen Glennon, who has been editor-in-chief at Kotaku for a total of 6 months, has resigned, calling GO Media executive Jim Spanfeller an herb. If we're talking basics like thyme or parsley, sure, I get it. But if these GO Media guys are all premium, tarragon, and bay leaf, then I really don't understand the frustration. This lack of editorial clarity is likely the cause for the new 50 guides per week requirement at Kotaku. Don't worry, gamers. If you thought the quality of content on their website was bad before, you can be sure it'll be a whole lot worse when they need to complete a minimum of 10 articles per day. Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry announced a new acceleration program to support indie game developers called the SOFU program. Recipients need to be Japanese nationals, have graduated high school before April 1st, 2024, and be younger than 35 years old. You would be given lectures on industry trends and production advice, learn more about game development, and be taught how to pitch your project to stakeholders. In other words, the Indie Game Dev program teaches you how to stop being indie. Welcome to 2024, where appeasing stakeholders is an integral part of independent game development. Last on the schedule for today, Riot Games has announced they've reset development on its upcoming League of Legends MMO. Though it was originally announced in 2020, this reset means that Riot will likely not bring it up again for another several years. This new strategy of releasing an MMO post-2028 is called striking when the iron is so cold it's colder than the ice caps, because they will have melted by then. And to wrap up today's video, I thought I would mention a few upcoming game releases in the month of April as an excuse for me to learn about what video games are coming out. Since I don't go to physical stores, and I don't read physical magazines anymore, this is really the only way to learn about it. House Flipper 2 releases on April 10th for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Final Fantasy XVI The Rising Tide DLC releases on April 18th for PS5. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes releases on all platforms on April 23rd. If you're a fan of the Suikoden franchise, 100 Heroes is for you. Sandland, a game based on a manga series by the late Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama, releases on multiple platforms on April 26th. On the same day, Stellar Blade, an action-adventure game published by Sony, releases on PS5. The game has already generated some controversy for having attractive female characters. And lastly, Sea of Thieves releases on PS5 on April 30th. If I missed any upcoming releases you're excited for, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in.